This is very important, you guys, because we're seeing such a shift in consciousness that is allowing us to understand the differences in like what society could be like for us and how our life is unfolding before our eyes. So many things are shifting and people are getting challenged in new ways that basically takes away the old and introduces the new. Okay, just want to emphasize some of these messages might be scattered and all over the place, so please consult your spirit team, pray, meditate, do what you got to do before you tap into these messages. That was a disclaimer. One of my spirit guides wanted me to share, and please only take what resonates. Okay, this message might not resonate for everyone, just don't force the message to fit. I'm only the messenger. I'm just doing what I need to do while I'm here. Okay, so yes, Archangel Sandalphon, who was Elijah on the planet. If you guys are aware of anything, it's in the Bible, and yes, I did grow up Muslim, but there's an overlap in who these people are within the sort of history, if you will. And so this angel is one of my spirit guides connected to me, and this was a very personal realization about this almost 2 years ago now. So Archangel Sandalphon is here and wanted to make that presence known. Maybe this angel resonates with some of you guys. So yes, there's something here about the old into the new. I'm being shown, what era is this? Is it the 40s, 50s? Yeah, it's like the 30s until the 50s when things started changing so rapidly. They're showing me almost like Great Gatsby as well at the same time. I'm not sure what timeline that is from, but they're showing me the change in sort of a society that was acclimated with the horse and buggy into a society that began to see the first sight of cars. Okay, so this almost evolution of new innovation that has allowed things to sort of pivot in a positive direction in certain areas. But where we're seeing right now is almost like a bump, because innovation and technological improvements is important. It is beneficial. It's absolutely wonderful. But right now we've hit a bump as a collective with this information where we choose to go from here is almost splitting us, and it's almost becoming like a challenge of the mind, a lesson of the mind. Are you going to allow your monkey mind, the energy in which you have all these racing thoughts, consistent overthinking, these things that are populating in your mind, keep you from being present? And it can be very normal for most of us now at this point, but in an almost uncomfortable way. I'm getting a very unsettling energy. It's like, put the phone down is what I just heard. Like, you want to put the phone down, but it's like you have responsibilities, you have like FOMO, you have obligations, you have things that are pulling you back in. You know, knowledge, a lot of us go online to educate ourselves, to connect with our loved ones, to grow, to learn, to see some things that we probably wouldn't see if we didn't have access to that. You know, we're no longer in the 1800s. We're now in 2023, and it is kind of cool to see what's going on in another country around the world, so that we're not ignorant, but so that we also know what's happening with humanity, right? With people that we don't know, but so important because they can affect us, you know. And so sometimes we need to understand that. But there's something coming through about releasing the shackles of the mind, not allowing this evolution, this innovation to sort of put you in a corner that causes you to relinquish your critical thinking, to relinquish your connection to your mind, which is a powerful tool in this earthly plane, because the mind is connected to the ego. So the soul is an unconditional love source being. Your soul is unconditional. It wants the best for you. It's here to fulfill what it needs to fulfill, and it's going to go through the experience and learn as it needs to, and that's going to be very personal for you and unique to you, right? We're only given certain experiences based on our readiness to receive it, whether we realize it at that time or not. But there's something coming through here. Yeah, my guides are very much showing me it's almost like the past has a huge prominence into the setup of this future. The past has a huge layout for how we are moving forward now, because the past has brought its own version of evolution, its own version of innovation that is now challenging this innovation for the future, where this innovation is almost like a technological jump a few, 30, 40 years ahead, which will create a timeline split, where some people will feel very almost guided to stray away from God, divine source, creator, from the trust and surrender in natural living and organic thinking, critical thinking, and will want to be almost crippled to step into, it sounds harsh, but that's what my guides are explaining it to me as. And there's neutrality that comes from them, and I just want to be clear, but we're going to get to the bottom line of the truth of who needs to hear this, because this message is only going to resonate with people that get it, okay? If you don't get it, it's not for you. Don't force the message, like I said. But there's something coming through here about technology and how there's almost like a crippling effect of technology that's going to hinder the mind, that aims to hinder the mind, that aims to study the mind, and there are benefits to that, but the overall larger hierarchical intention of that creation is not for that to happen. And what happens when an intention is put out there, especially from the people who created something like a technological idea, okay? All these people have all these ideas for good, right? Around the world. They hear about this new advancement, they're like, oh my gosh, there's so much potential with this. But then the people who created it, which we know that the good always overrides the bad, I'm being emphasized to say. So the large amount of the collective who sees the benefits of a technology advancement, of evolution in itself, from what we're seeing through from AI to the access of social media, the way that culture is almost changing a little bit within society, can be seen as good in certain ways because those people are able to find the pros. But the people who created those technologies have a larger intention, which is being shown right now. And it's almost, I'm being shown a mirror, like a projection towards humanity, that, this is the larger intention, which is to study the mind so that we can duplicate creation. And that's coming through, which is not what I intended to say, but the guys are saying that. So yeah, so it's like almost like this energy that is calling us to remind ourselves of organic living. I'm not saying you need to go change your whole life. I am saying to remember the organic living that connects you to the earth. Ground yourself. Come back here. Come back here. Take a moment. Give yourself some time to not feel like you need to pick up your phone, like you need to distract yourself. Let's unpack what's happening with your thoughts. Let's unpack what's happening with the mind, the narratives, the stories that you're telling yourself that are not allowing you to take that next step. There's a mental mind blockage that is keeping some people shackled here in the collective that I'm tapping into, and I get it. And this is a very, regular thing that seems to happen to all of us in this journey. It really is the understanding of the soul as an unconditional love source being, to the acclamation of being in a vessel where the mind now comes into play, an organ of the brain that calls us to almost look at society and energy and the world in the 3D differently. But this is a component of being on Earth, which is the ego. The mind, the brain. I've talked about this in a recent video. If you guys haven't seen it about the ego recently, I highly recommend. But this is what's coming through. The ego is something that is kind of built into that creation. It's almost like an operation of this creation, and it's like we made an agreement to have that coexistence. It's still us. It's just that now we're kind of battling this denser energy. The ego is a very dense energy that's kind of built among for the earth plane. It's for the earth plane. It's for the 3D. And so sometimes we might get defensive about things, or we might overthink things. And we have to remember that, is it really this? Like, we're not going to downplay our experiences, and we're not going to downplay our thoughts. If there's something going on and you're recognizing this repetitive pattern within your thoughts, within your mind body, within your mental health, there's something that's being called for you to seek professional advice. It doesn't necessarily need to be a medical doctor. Maybe your professional advice is looking up some tools on your own, self-healing, asking questions, or maybe it's, going to a holistic doctor. Maybe it's having conversations with people that are in the field, or looking at people in the field and actually reading their content, educating yourself, thinking for yourself. This is the energy that's coming through. We're going to be encouraged to step almost into this sense of like self-responsibility is what I just heard, and accountability for our own mental being, our mental well-being, okay, and our mental body, and the overall nature of who we are, so that we don't allow these external factors to dictate the vibe that we carry for the rest of the day. There's something about all these external stimuli from technology, from this natural progression of evolution that is now wanting to take a 30-year jump, which will create a timeline split among humanity, those who want to be completely dependent on technology versus those who are living a half and half life, meaning a healthy balance between innovation and evolution, technological advancements, and like what we have now, being able to still think for yourself, live your life, and not feel like you have to become a different person just because you don't appreciate yourself, you don't appreciate your life. You are alive here to learn about this journey, to learn about yourself, your evolution, which means that there are going to be times where your mind is going to be challenged. Those triggers are going to come through, okay? You are going to be put in a position where your mental health is going to be somewhat compromised because you're facing these situations that you don't probably intuitively feel, or in your space, your heart space, feel that you're ready for. And at first the victim mentality might come through, but then we have to push through all of those dense energies and remember that our ego is temporary. It's of this world. The soul will live on, the mind, the ego, it's temporary, it's of this world. So that means that because it's of this world only and it's not eternal, it doesn't have as much power as the soul that's in you. So technically, this is how you can remember that the mind synchronicities that keep coming through for the collective, that I keep seeing, that the guides have been telling me, is to remind you that should any mental blockages, any mind blockages shackle you, and you feel you're ready in a space to take self-responsibility, to take accountability, to critically think for yourself, and to do the work to ask more questions, to just read for yourself before maybe you feel comfortable to, take the plunge and talk to someone professional. Whatever you need to do for you, there is no right or wrong answer. You have to tap in and figure out what is right for you, and you won't know what's right for you unless you try one thing and then try another and then try another. And that's the beauty of it, is because you're trying these different ways to heal yourself, to basically move through these difficult mental blockages, these overthinking, these thoughts that are coming through, because you're allowing yourself the opportunity to explore different options. Reading online, watching YouTube videos, seeking professional help. There's plenty more options than that. Those are just a few examples. You're allowing yourself to get to know yourself better, which is more liberating in the end. It's actually the fun part, because you get to now pick. It's like dating, like getting to know yourself again, picking what you want for yourself and what doesn't resonate for you, and then going from there. And sometimes some of that might change later on. So there's a message that's been coming through about the mental mind body. Really understanding that the ego is only part of this world. It doesn't come on with the next world. The ego is a lesson, it is a teacher, and it is a student, and so is your soul. So there's a co-creation here, a collaboration here that's taking place. But remember that should any mental blockages, these thoughts and these overthinking continue to shackle you, make you feel like you can't take action or you can't do XYZ in your life, whatever that is, this message is going to resonate, and you'll know what that is for you. If it does resonate, then you're going to be encouraged to trust yourself. And this is the fun part. I'm sending you all so much love and light. I hope that this message helps someone. Let me know if it did help at all. I love seeing your comments and your DMs. Take care.